All right, it's time. So let's get started. I'm going to share my screen and we will get started with our opening prayers. All right. So welcome everyone. We'll get started with our invoking the blessings of God and Guru. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. All right, Radha, good morning, good evening, everyone. So today we are going to talk about the topic, like we've been talking about the different path, yogic paths, and also, what are the eligibility or the entry criteria for, different paths, and difference between bhakti path and the Gyan Marg, to some extent. So today we will talk about the possibilities. Now, there are multiple options all of us have, right, based on our sanskars and the amount of knowledge we get access to. We can do karmas, and karmas can fall into good karmas and bad karmas category, or we could follow one of the paths, ashtang marg, gyan marg, bhakti marg. We could liberate ourselves, we could become atmagyani, we could become jivan mukt, we could achieve nirvan, moksha, or we could have premanand, right? What are the different possibilities? And based on those possibilities, what are the different destinations we could have in afterlife? It's a pretty interesting topic. What are the different possibilities of uh, planets or places in this entire universe where we may get the privilege to get reborn in as humans or otherwise? So this is what we are going to talk about a little bit. And today we have a hard stop and we have a presentation as well. So we'll not go too deep. We'll just touch upon few of these things and take on some questions and then get to the presentation as part of it as well. So let's get started. What I picked up today is, if you look at, just imagine this is our entire universe. Right? So if the entire material creation were to be a sea beach, then our universe, the universe in which we live in, is no more than a grain of sand. And this is not an atishokti or exaggeration of that fact. It is an understatement. Even after saying like this, I would say it in an understatement. It's not exaggeration of the fact, as even the modern science, can corroborate that as well. Because we have limited understanding even of our solar system and Milky Way, but our scriptures tell us the creation goes much beyond that, and that is what we are going to look at. So all the stars we see in the sky, night sky, God has not created them for the decoration alone. Okay, it is a pretty vast creation, material creation that we live in. Although it decorates as well the night sky, especially if there is no pollution, but it is a very vast creation that we are talking about here. So we will try to get a glimpse into it today, what our scriptures tell us. So let's get started. And the question that we are going to tackle is, where do we go? So if you look at the path, destination, everybody has a destination and it's not the same destination. Based on the path that you have picked up to realize God, the destination can vary as well. Now, people see these are the possibilities. We may do good karma, we may do bad karma, or we may do mix of both, or we achieve liberation, or we do God realization. All possibilities are there. Now, based on that, where all we can end up in, let's look at that. By the way, this entire creation is known as a beautiful poem from God. Okay, he's right. Brahmaji has written a nice poem, and that poem extends to basically he ends up creating a universe with that. Now let's look at the lokas that make a Brahmand. We talk about Brahmand. What are the lokas that make a Brahmand? So let's say this is the material creation, this entire subset, right? Set theory in maths we have done, but let's say this is what it is. What does it entail? It entails Brahmand, multiple Brahmand. So this is the entire material world. Okay, hypothetically imagine that this is an entire big oval shape thing, which is the entire material creation. Within that, you have multiple Brahmand. So universe, if you look at it, it is actually multiverses. So our universe is one of the many universes. It's a little oxymoronic remark. But our Brahmand is one of the smallest Brahmands in this entire creation, because our Brahmaji is four-headed Brahma. Four-headed Brahmand is where we live in. And similar to that, we have Brahmands which are out there of 10-headed Brahma, 15-headed Brahma, 20-headed, 100-headed, 1,000-headed, million-headed, trillion-headed, billion-headed, infinite-headed. That much vast this creation is. We can't even imagine the expanse of this creation. It is unbelievable, mind-boggling concept. And each Brahmand has its own Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh. Each Brahmand has its own. Okay, it's not just one. Now, this is just material creation. Further, beyond material creation, there is a place called Birja River. That is where the Brahmagyanis, people who worship God as a light, that is where they go and get lean in that Brahma Jyoti. They merge with the effulgence of God. Okay, it is on the cusp of material world, after material world, and between another world that we are going to look at. And then comes another world. Okay, it is called Parvyom Lok, beyond Birja River. And this Parvyom Lok, there are planets. What are those planets? Golok, Saket Lok, Vaikunt, Devi Lok, Shiv Lok. They are all spiritual abodes. Okay, and even the direction, expanse, length, breadth, Maharajji tells about that. In this direction of Golok is Saket Lok. So now, based on what is your Ishtadev, they are all belong to one God only, right? God has taken on different forms, but depending upon the Ishtadev that you relate to, and let's say you perfect your devotion for your Ishtadev, you will end up in one of these sloks. Like, for example, all the people who realized Ram Bhagwan, right, like Kaikai Mata, and people who were devotees of Ram Bhagwan, they inhabit with him in Saket Lok, and they are part of his eternal leelas. Kak Mushundi, so many people, they go to Saket Lok. Vaikunt is where the Shant Bhav Ras starts. People who worship God as Narayan or Vishnu, they go to Vaikunt. Vaikunt Ras, Shant Ras they get. People who worship Shiv, they go to Shiv Lok, Durga Lok, Devi Lok. This spiritual world that I'm talking about, so let's first complete the material world part of it. Okay, material world, Brahmand, you understood, right? Now, this material world is just 1/4 of this entire creation. 3/4 is the spiritual world. And within that 1/4, let us see what other things are there. Now, each Brahmand has, let's look at what are the different things that our scriptures talk about. Each Brahmand has a Bhulok, Bhuva, Swar, Mahar, Jana, Tapo, and Satyalok. These are 7 planets, higher planets that are there in each Brahmand. They are also called upper planets. Okay. Then you have middle planet, which is Bhulok. We have, so if you look at it, upper planets, then you've got a Bhulok, middle planet, and then similar to that, Atal, Vital, Sutal, Talatal, Mahatal, Rasatal, Patal. They are called lower planets. Each Brahmand has that as well. And there are 28 Narakloks as well, by the way. So each Brahmand has this thing. And this entire creation that I'm talking about is only material creation, which is 1/4 of the entire creation that God has created. So when pralaya and other things happen, these material creation ceases to exist. The spiritual abode, which extends beyond Birja River, the Paravyom Lok, they continue to exist. It's not going into the Mahodar of Mahavishnu. So that is how vast our entire creation is. Now, people who do good and bad, mix of that. People who do good, they go to higher planets. The different possibilities of the higher planet Lokas, and then people who do bad deeds, primarily bad deeds, really bad deeds, obviously they'll go to the Narakloks and all. It's a perfect justice system that God has created. And people who are doing a mixed bag, right? Some good, some bad kind of a deal, they come to Mrityulok like we have. So next time this question comes up, why does bad thing happen to good people? You can first question, if they were truly good, they would have been in a celestial abode, right? And if they were even better than good, right? Better than good is like when you are doing Gunatit, then they would have been one of the spiritual abodes. The very fact that they are repeating in Mrityulok, like all of us do, that means we are a mixed bag. We are all right people, neither good nor bad, somewhere in between. Mixed bag. Yes, Sandhya?
Shri Ramya ji has asked a question: how to put in perspective our solar system, Mercury, Venus, with respect to these 14 lokas?
No, not Loka. So you can say these are all the part of the Bhuloka. Okay, solar system, and by the way, that our entire galaxy will fall into that. So each Brahmand has that. So the middle planet that we are talking about, that's these lokas are basically another zone itself. Let's say maybe another Milky Way within that. Okay, we don't have access to that. We go there, maybe Pushpak Viman or other kind of things can take you there, or if you have access to an additional dimension like Narad Muni does, Narayan, and he transcends from one lok to another. I used to wonder how can he do that, but it's not very difficult concept to understand, right? If you look at a paper, like if I have to travel from, let's say, okay, if you're looking at my hand, this point to this point, I'll have to travel like this, right? But let's say I have access to a third dimension and I can fold it. That means those points have come very close. So only having access to the third dimension can shrink the space. And then even science says there are 17 or 18 dimensions. So people who are evolved, they have access to those dimensions. They can just do something and collapse the space and time aspect of it. So not a big deal. Okay, so this is all material creation. Now, people who do good deeds, they go to celestial abodes. They are called bhogyonis. Even narakloks are bhogyonis. Once you complete your punya and pap, you come back again. But that is all material. But if you perfect your devotion, then you go to into beyond Paravyom, the Paravyom Lok. The topmost there is called Golok, where Krishna is in full glory. He just does Prem Dan. He doesn't get out of Golok, by the way. The avatars that he takes place through Vishnu, he takes the avatar. Once in a while, he does a Purna avatar as well. I think in one Kalp of Brahma, he does a Purna avatar, which happened 5,000 years back. He simply does Prem Dan in Golok. And then people who worship Ram, if they're perfect, they go to Saket Lok. And the Brahmagyanis who are liberated with grace of God, not on their self efforts. They are Atmagyanis. They will fall down eventually if they don't meet a guru and they don't do devotion, because Maya nobody can conquer. They go up to Birja River, where they lie in that bliss of God, which is called, the Satchidanand bliss of God. They just lie in that, but they are deprived of the Premanand aspect of it, which starts coming in from the higher planets. right? And in those planets also, that ras can vary based on Shanta ras, and then Sakhya, the Dasya ras, Sakhya ras, Vatsalya ras, and Madhurya ras. And Braj ras is possible only in Golok, because Krishna is in full glory there, in his full glory and opulence. Right? It is said, when we start understanding about God, that will make us fall in love with God. Kandarp, there's a word used, Kandarp, for God, right, which is like love, God of love. And Kandarp, so the more knowledge we gain about God, truly understand it, the more we'll fall in love with that. Devotion will manifest as well. So these are the possibilities in these abodes. Yesterday we were talking, any questions so far? Yesterday we were talking about moksha and all. So I thought it will be a quick revision on this concept. When we have desires, material desires in this world, so let's look at desire zero, desire positive. On the left hand side, it is material desire. On the right hand side, it is spiritual desire. When we have material desires, it is called bhukti. Right? We want to have this, we want to enjoy something. It is called bhukti. It's a plane of bhukti. It is material aspiration. When your material desires cease, right? So spirituality cannot go hand in hand with bhukti. Either you are seeking God or you are seeking material things, right? Now, when you start diminishing these bhakti aspect of it over time, as you start progressing spiritually, your craving for material things will start diminishing, as you can see. And when it starts decreasing and you have, let's say, completely exhausted it, you have come to a neutral point, it is called mukti or nirvana. Okay, with grace of God, of course. This is where you are at desire zero. You have still not gotten the spiritual bliss as yet. You have done the dukh nivritti aspect of it. And after that, beyond moksha, like I said, when we reject both bhukti and mukti, now we are entering the realm of the higher realm, which is called to serve God for the sake of God's happiness. Then you enter the bhakti or the spiritual aspiration. And if you do nishkam, seva of God, not sakam, then you get the divine love, which is the topmost prize of God. So this is how the hierarchy goes from left to right in the increasing order. All right. So any questions so far on this? Or I can walk you through with the different levels of bhakti as well, if we have time. But other than that, I can take some questions on this concept because I'm sure a lot of people would have questions around it.
Radhe Radhe, Ankurji.
Yes, Ankurji.
Radhe. Nitinji, when we speak about that we reject both bhakti and mukti. I mean, bhakti we understand. I mean, bhakti we understand that from material aspirations we are going. We are reducing that. How are we reducing the mukti?
How are we rejecting mukti?
Yeah, rejecting mukti.
You reject mukti with knowledge, right? Mukti is, if you think about mukti, we said, God, I need mukti. Okay, mukti is also a selfish desire. So devotee says, I will reject mukti also because I want to serve you. So what you are saying is, I am having a fever. Can you get rid of my fever? That's all. But after your fever is over, you want to do something also. So devotee says, God, I want to serve you. A jnani never says that. Jnani says, I just want to merge with you. That's it. So a jnani, a devotee would reject mukti. Mukti is a byproduct of premanand. You're already done deal. Mukti is done already. What a person in moksha is achieving is much lower than what a person in premanand is achieving, right? It's like, one thing you can ask, let's say there is a beggar. Okay, let's give you an analogy to drive home the point. And God manifests in front of him. Okay, and he says, I am very tormented by my poverty. Can you finish my poverty? God says, Tathastu. That is mukti. There's another beggar. God manifests in front of him. He said, I'm tormented by my poverty. God says, what do you want? He said, can you make me billionaire? God says, Tathastu. So when he became billionaire, he automatically, his poverty is gone. Similarly, when you get Premanand, automatically moksha is there. Moksha is Dai Bhak or under Premanand basically. So a devotee with knowledge rejects mukti also, because the possibility of bhakti is much beyond mukti. Okay, now you are an eternal associate of God. And that Premanand, which can only be achieved through bhakti, is told, I keep on giving the same example. If you have an ocean of moksha, the bliss of moksha, ocean of it, and you compare it against not even a drop, a trace of Premanand, if somebody feels that, they will reject that ocean. That is how high Premanand is. But that top prize, God reserves it only for people who not only reject bhakti but also mukti. That is the whole idea behind it. Hope I answered part of your question.
Yeah, got it.
Venkatji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Venkatji.
Radhe Radhe. Nitinji, can you please go back to the previous slide, please? I heard there are 6 sampradayas, right? So Vaishnava, Shiva, Smartha, and other, right? The previous slide. Sir.
Yeah, it's not all encompassing. If you're saying there is the planet for, yeah, please ask. Yeah, this is the previous one.
Yeah, this one. So, for example, when we do Surya, what do you call that? Surya Ashtakam and all. So we call as like Surya Lokam, Surya Lok, Chandra Lok, those kind of things. And also, Shenmukha is another one. I think there are 2 more, I think, Lokas, right? So are they all part of the beyond Bija River or before, like something like
Surya and all? I don't know, because Vivaswan, the Chand, there are 2 kinds. One is like if you go to Golok or any of these planets, Krishna himself becomes Surya and Shashank, basically the Chandrama there. Now the Lokas for that, I'll have to check on that. I don't know which Lokas you're talking about. Do they fall into the material realm or the spiritual? I'll have to check, because whatever I know, at least from my limited understanding, the Ishtadev that you do, they belong to these spiritual abodes. Now the ones that you are talking about, if you can send me, I can check it out with Swamiji or through any of the lecture series to see whether they fall into the spiritual abodes or still in the material abodes.
even in Bhagavad Gita, somewhere in this next sloka, maybe chapter 9 or so, so we'll get that we will go to beyond certain lokas like Brahma Lok, Surya Lok, and after that again we'll come back to Matsya Lok if we don't reach that thing, right?
If that is the case, yeah, then Surya Lok I had not read about it. Brahma Lok I know. So up to Brahma Lok, it is material creation only. Okay, so the lokas that you're talking, if you come back, that means you are still in material world. That answers the question itself. Because once you go to the divine abodes, there is no coming back. There is no coming back at all. You can come back voluntarily if you choose to serve God as a saint or maybe participate in his leelas, but you are not obliged to come back. But if you keep coming back after going to these lokas, they are still in material world. They are still in material world. So that this screen would tell you what are the different possibilities within material world as well. Like next one I had created, this basically chart. If you look at the happiness that are possible in this material world, right? The highest level earth, the happiness of earth itself is not perfect for us, right? Because we don't remain young forever. We are not very intelligent or completely intelligent. We are not ruling this earth. We don't retain the prime of our youth. And even if all of these things happen, then people will start troubling you. The subjects are not favorably aligned. And then we don't have access to all the possible luxuries. If somebody has all of these, that is 1 unit of happiness in this earth. Higher than that, if you multiply it by 1,000, is Gandharv. Higher than that is Pitrilok. Higher than that is Ajanak Lok. Higher than that is Karma Devas. And then Indra, who is the king of heavenly abodes. Higher than that is Brihaspati. Brihaspati higher than is Prajapati, and then Brahma. But all of these, if you look at it, they are under material world only. So any of these lokas where you can come back, they are under material world only. That is not spiritual world as yet. All the way up to Brahma Lok. I hope I answered at least part.
Yeah, I'm trying to follow this. Yeah, so where we are, like how many zeros we have to add is what I'm thinking. So
the point is, we have not even what the kind of happiness that we are seeking in this world. It's not even happiness. 1 unit of Earth's happiness is somebody is young, they are healthy, they are the ruler of this planet, they always remain young. People are favorably aligned, all the relatives and everybody is favorably aligned, and they have all the access to all the luxuries. Then it is 1 unit of happiness on this earth. So you can just compare with the happiness that we seek in this world. I'm very happy with that. And you keep on multiplying this happiness all the way up to Brahmalok. Still, it is material world, and you can come back and become an ant again. That is the reality of this creation. Not that once you have gone to the Brahmalok, now you will at least become Indra. No, you can still become an ant. Okay.
Yeah, just one last, that question, earlier question was actually the Indralok, I think, sorry, Suryalok, where does it come after Brahmalok or before Brahmalok is what my question was still.
Brahmalok is the topmost thing. It might be somewhere in between, but I'll specifically check for that. Okay. When you
Thank you. Thank you, Nitinji.
It would be, I think, part of one of these only, because it is possible, right? In Suryalok, if our body is made up of Panchatattva. So we can't imagine how can somebody live in such a hot place, right? What if somebody's body is made up of Agni only? And Suryalok, they can very well survive there. They can very much live there. So we don't know. There are so many things we are not aware of it. Abhimanyu was known to come from moon, basically. And his duration on this earth was only 16 years. That is why he had to depart at that time. So there is an existence, okay, in pretty much everywhere around, and we don't know. We don't have access to that. But it is material. And once you go to spiritual abode, then you are not obliged to come back. That means you have perfected your devotion and you are with your Ishtadev for the rest of eternity. Then that means you have hit lottery and you have become Malamal. Any other questions? We can take two more real quick, and then we have a wonderful presentation coming up. Yes.
Sumesh ji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Sumesh ji.
राधे राधे नितिन जी, मेरा एक क्वेश्चन है कि हम जिसे अपना इष्ट देव माने, केवल उसी फॉर्म को वर्शिप करें या अन फॉर्म को भी वर्शिप कर सकते हैं?
आप कर सकते हैं किसी भी फॉर्म को. However, अनन्यता helps. When you have अनन्यता, your sentiments, आपका जो भाव है वो परिपक्व होता चला जाएगा. If you keep on doing with 10 different things, भाव कहीं बैठ नहीं पाएगा, जबकि everybody is same. There is a beautiful story. Swamiji says there was a guy who said, I worship only Ram Bhagwan, okay, and not others. So he said, why? He said, because I do Ananya Bhakti, okay. And this guy says, I do Fananya Bhakti. Why? He said, I only know Krishna. I don't even know about any other gods. So worship, a pure devotee would worship everybody, knowing it's my Ishtadev only in a different mood today. But it's recommended to have Ananyata in the form of your Ishtadev also, because that will help you deepen your relationship with him. आपका जो आकर्षण है या भाव है वो परिपक्व तभी होगा जब आप एक इष्टदेव पे लगातार चलते चले जाएंगे. But at the same time, you understand that it's your God only who has taken a different form today. So it is recommended to have Ananyata even in your Ishtadev.
जैसे कि हम यह मान कर चलें कि श्री कृष्ण के ही अन्य फॉर्म, अन्य अवतार भी और लीला भी उनका ही है, तो वो सब भी अवतार की जो लीलाएं हमें अच्छा लगे उसको हम ध्यान कर सकते हैं.
बिल्कुल, कोई इसमें भेद नहीं है हमारे स्क्रिप्चर्स में. भगवान के किसी भी लीला पे, किसी भी अवतार पे आप करेंगे, आपको वही फल मिलेगा, क्योंकि भगवान इज प्योर. पर भक्ति में जो हम अपने भाव बनाते हैं उसमें अनन्यता होने से हमें ही लाभ मिलेगा, नहीं तो वो स्प्लिट होता चला जाएगा.
धन्यवाद. राधे राधे.
Okay, maybe एक और one more question we can take.
Yeah, Jamvan ji, Sam ji, Radhe Radhe.
Jamvan.
Radhe Radhe. Jamvan.
Jamvan told Hanuman, if not for Jamvan, Hanuman would not have realized his potential. So please go ahead, Jamvan ji.
Yeah. My question is, will God take form depending upon the desire of devotee, or devotee only will come to know the form of God and then develop this ananyata?
No, see, you will form your relationship with one form of God, right? In your mind, you will say either it is Ram, either Shiv or Krishna. Then you make your Manomai Murti. You start deepening your bhav. You cannot know God, right? You don't have those eyes as yet. Finally, God will reveal himself in his full glory and give you the divine vision. But until then, you can continue making your own bhav, sentiments, form as you wish.
Okay, that means we cannot make God take a form of our will?
You can. Maharajji recommends, make Manomay Murti. Whatever you want to wish, however you want to desire God, you can, your sentiments matter. It doesn't mean that you have changed the form of God. God will remain in his form and he will finally reveal himself by giving you divine vision. But you are free to choose whichever form helps you develop that devotion and build that connect.
Okay.
You are free to do that. Whatever eyes, however you want to see him, big hair, short hair, curly hair, with gogs, without gogs, in suit, in pitambar, whatever, feel free to. That's what God says. Your bhav have to be deepened, whichever form. There is no restriction, there's no limitation. Krishna doesn't say always think of me in pitambar and all. No. Feel free to put a cricket bat in his hand or put gogs on him and make him a dude, whatever. Krishna says, be my guest. You have that freedom, complete freedom. Yes, Annapurna ji.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe Annapurna ji, please go ahead.
Annapurna ji, you have not asked, can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, there was a question, sun, where his loka will be, I have a feeling that they are all in spiritual world, paravyum, dome, maybe because there are 5 gods that you can worship, which are one and the same. In that, Surya, Ganesha, Vishnu, Shiva, Durga. So this sun may be different from what sun we see, that sun world, that may be in Paravyuha, because if all 5 gods are same, Vishnu is nothing but Krishna, Shiva, they are all same. Worshipping, there is only one God, right? So any of them can be your Ishtadev. So sun belongs in that group. So I feel that it may be in the spiritual world itself, Paravyuha. After Birija river, material world, after that, just like Saket Lok and Shiva Lok, Durga Lok, maybe Sun Lok and Ganesh Lok, maybe like that, because 5 gods we are allowed to worship. They have the equal power, equal everything. That's what I wanted to say.
Sure, Annapurna ji. Yes, I think that's where I said, if that maybe thing is something I want to confirm and not say just because I feel it that way. It's Panchashakti, but at the same time, the sun that we have, there's a material sun and then is a spiritual sun as well. So I would rather confirm it from Swamiji than say.
Yes, I think it will be nice idea to confirm, but because I was thinking, Panchashakti, so I thought that they are equal. So sun, I can talk. Maybe better to know from Swamiji.
Yes, thank you, Annapurna ji. All right, now let's move on to the presentation so that we have enough time for presentation and questions around that as well. So over to you, Sandhya. Please go ahead. All yours.
Yeah, thank you. I'll start sharing my screen.
Yes, sir.
So you can see my screen, right?
Yes, we can see your screen. Maharajji's kiddo.
Thank you. Okay. Radhe Radhe everyone. As you all know, my name is Sandhya. And today I'm just going to describe my journey of graces. And this is dedicated to God and Guru. It's just a humble attempt from my side. So the first grace is grace of being born as a human being. And I have been very fortunate and blessed with an extremely loving and religious family. So all our family trips have always been to divine abodes. We used to go to Vaishno Devi, Shirdi, Rameshwaram. And through various activities, we have had a lot of excitement and attachment to the cultural festivities of India. So Janmashtami, for some unknown reason, was one of the biggest attraction for me during my childhood. And one of the reason was actually prasad. So in Janmashtami, we used to go to multiple temples, not just one temple. And in every temple, we'll go and get the makhan and the charnamrit. And Mata Rani, so Vaishno Devi is a place where we go as a family every year. And I had some strong inclination developed with Mata Rani. And I mean, I would just want to express this here. At that point of time, I did not know what is Roop Dhyan. But I used to feel like after hearing Prahlad's story, which I had heard in childhood, I always wanted to be taken care by Mata Rani as my spiritual mother. So I wanted to be in her lap and pampered by her. So that was one thing that had existed for some reason. And then, yeah, serving food in Gurdwara was always cherishing. Bhajans were blissful, and prasad was one of the most attracting thing for me in going to any of the divine abodes. But all this while, there were many problems with me which I was not even aware of. And I would say, summarizing them all, that most important thing was I was not utilizing this grace optimally. I was wasting time. I was very much a people's person. Like my happiness depended upon people around me. If I could keep them happy, if they were there with me, then I was happy. But when people were not there with me, I was lonely and very unhappy. So this was a problem, but I was not realizing it because I just enjoying these material world things. So the second grace, I think the journey for the second grace started when I came to US last year. Of course, again, I had a good community of supporting friends. In November last year, I had a small material reversal, which was a breakup. And I was quite upset. I mean, it was unwillingly upset. I wasn't expecting that I will be this much upset, but somehow I was. And then I decided that I have to go back to things which would give me happiness, which are independent of the presence or absence of any individual. And that's when I actually ended up meeting Sunilji, who all of you know, and I think he must be attending. He's one of our favorite co-hosts. So Sunilji is one of my colleague, and I met him via a mentorship program. He introduced me to the Bhagavad Gita classes. In fact, what he exactly said was, there is a super enthusiastic youth who is spearheading this Bhagavad Gita classes. And I got really excited that I should be attending this. And I would say at this point itself that I'm super grateful to Sunilji for suggesting me this and for always helping me come to visit the temple and helping me bond with this community so far. Thank you. And then the Bhagavad Gita journey started. So that was the day when I met Sunilji and I attended the first Bhagavad Gita class. And as we all know, the divine wisdom from Maharajji was presented beautifully. I understood the true purpose of life and the true meaning of happiness. So this word Sat Chit Anand was a word that I used to use earlier also with my family. I used to greet my mother and my family by saying Jai Sachidanand, but I did not know the real meaning of this word. And that is something I understood through these classes in a very through a format of, graphics and stories, which could really appeal to me. So, and another thing that really appealed to me was the conviction with which Nitinji used to say, present the concepts to us. So I completely got convinced about who is our true relative, who is our true soulmate, and the glory of God, that God is all powerful, and realizing the bliss of being associated with God and having a personal connect developed. So Nitinji had suggested me to take up this 21-day mind management challenge by Swamiji, which is basically a series of videos, 20 minutes each. And there, one thing that really stuck me hard was this concept that how we develop attachment to anything in the material world, or actually anywhere. So by repeated contemplation of happiness, we develop attachment. And this attachment leads to desire, which if is fulfilled will become greed, if unfulfilled will become anger. And a statement that I heard from Maharajji, which again pierced my heart, was, "Humne rone ko dawat de di, has karke. So then actually this particular concept really helped me to see different situations in life much better. So it was March when like that single day things had turned upside down, in the sense my father had become suddenly ill and he got hospitalized and went to ICU. And so that was something which was, if I was not attending these sessions, I think I would have just sat down back in my room and just cried the whole day. And I mean, it wasn't possible for me to do anything much from here, but what I needed was a right perspective and consciousness, which I had through these classes and through this wisdom. So I actually continued doing my activities and supporting my family to the best way I could. And of course, everything became fine. And this, I remember this was the day when I did the co-hosting as well for the first time. So yes, I did get the right perspective and consciousness to deal with situations. So I'll just describe how incrementally till now my experience of bliss has been increasing and growing. So yes, first I started attending these classes, met Nitin ji as well, and he, at least for me, is like a role model, a perfect, all perfect go-to person for seva, sadhana, bhajan, tattva gyan, and even problems that I face with material world related issues. He's like a mentor who sorts them all. So, and after the Bhagavad Gita class, many times I feel like true bliss. It's like going to a trance state, which is not describable in words. So the idea was, if he's like this, how will his guru be? And that's when I had the opportunity to meet our Swamiji. So in April, I fortunately got to meet him in person. And he is literally the true Farishta of God. Uh, there's nectar pouring out of his words. The divine wisdom I felt when I was sitting with him and talking to him. He can literally read our mind. I mean, I felt that there's a heart-to-heart connection with him. In fact, senses are frozen in his divine presence. So, and I remember the first day I met him in the lecture, he gave this advice: do not engage in worldly conversations, which was really impactful. So Swamiji is really a perfect example of a serving disciple. He has really set the standards how service should be done. So, and through him only, I kind of fell in love with Maharajji. So Maharajji, he's just Adbhut. He's super califragilistic, expialidocious. I fell in love with his style and conviction, and I feel extremely blessed to be graced by him. I mean, I personally feel that I have been brought to US through his planning only, and he's literally holding our hands and taking us ahead in this path. So, and when I was hearing about his pastimes long back, where he would go to the river Yamuna, the river bank, and he would do kirtans till 2 a.m. I strongly had this feeling, I wish I was one of his associates over there. Like, you know, literally even an insect or even a blade of grass, if I was there, that would have been just blissful. So, yeah, just a minute. So this basically helped me in various aspects, like my problem of feeling lonely kind of went away. Because I now feel that Radha Krishna and Guru are always there with me. So there is no reason to feel lonely. And I feel much better equipped to deal with my emotions. I started feeling unearthed nivritti, like lost interest in all the wasteful activities that I was involved with. And it feels like Sari Kainat has started supporting. Like importantly, like my best friend Shefali, she also joined this path, and we both are like, it's like the sakhis. We are just enjoying this journey together, and everyone else is also very supportive. So the fact that we started trusting on the most trustworthy, the God and Guru, everything just falls in place. So now, like, what I just try to focus on is seva, satsang, and sadhana. And some of the very impressive statements for me are Hari Guru Bhajnit, Govind Radhe, bhav nishkam ananya bana de. And tat sukh sukhitvam. I mean, that's just blissful. And one statement that Maharaj Ji says, that man lagana nahi padega, man lagne lagega. And this is what I seriously feel, that it just organically, naturally happening. And I'll sing this bhajan maybe towards the end. This is these two lines, but I love these. So now I'll just highlight some of the tools that help me whenever I feel that I've been facing, test by Maya. So these two things, journaling and time management. This is also an advice I got from Nitinji. Very early on, he had suggested me that you should start journaling because that really helps you whenever you are, especially when you are, feeling low. Looking back at your journal is really impactful. And that's something I've strongly, strongly felt. So since March only, I started doing journaling and it's just going on and it's very, very helpful. And of course, we end up making commitments in different domains of our life. So it is, in order to meet them properly, it is very, very much needed that we manage our time well. So for that, I was discussing with Nitinji and he had suggested, juggling balls concept, like when you can basically decide how much time you have and how much time you want to divide in your different activities, and accordingly then start planning things. So for me, whenever I have any such test, I either watch the videos of Swamiji and Maharajji. They help me regain my inspiration. I recall my blissful experiences through my journal. Listen to enchanting bhajans. And it's very important to identify if we are in any kusang, because kusang is not just people who have material world addictions. Kusang is beyond that. People who can influence your thoughts is also kusang. So it's important to identify that and then avoid it. And most importantly, I think seeking out to the wonderful associates that we have, the entire JK Yog family. Like there are so many people I can take names of who are so much helpful, but I'll just compile them all as JK Yog family. So we have a wonderful community to seek help from. So now this journey has just begun, and this journey of grace will keep continuing forever. And I would just want to read out this quote from Swamiji. Rare is the soul that gets the human form, and rare is the human who strives to attain God. So if you have received the inspiration, value it. Thank you, Radhe Radhe. And these are some of the words that have always mesmerized me. So I've just put a word cloud of that for you to have a look at it. Thank you.
Wonderful, Sandhya. That was pretty amazing. And I can vouch for that. I've seen Sandhya evolve over the last 3-4 months. I think you started in February, right? Around Valentine, when we were discussing the bhavs, and the way she took and got, her friend Shefali and then Rahul and all, they just joined in as if, the fish takes to water. Pretty amazing. They're so inspiring. I myself take a lot of inspiration from them that, I've been on this for so many years, and these folks within a span of very few months have really taken, grown wings and taken off like this. And the best thing about them is she approaches it with so much of open-mindedness, faith and devotion. And I think Swamiji picks that up as well. So I still remember, if you don't mind, I would like to share that with everybody. When I think you came in temple for the first time and Swamiji was there as well, he picked her out from the crowd, right, and called her name, something similar that he did with Chefali as well. So what I told her was, it's not a normal thing. He picks up the bhav and the intensity somebody has, and the fact that you carry that purity and sincerity around it, that helped him pick you up, from the crowd, because that's something he's special as well, right? But keep up all the great work and the best wishes to you, Sandhya. I thoroughly enjoy my conversations with you. The way you approach it, it's like having that perfect, I won't even say I'm a teacher, facilitator, but it gives you a lot of satisfaction, especially when you come across somebody who can relate to concepts so well as you do, and try to imbibe them on a day-to-day basis as well. So wonderful, wonderful. All the very best wishes, and to you and your Sakhi and all the people that you are inspiring around you. It's wonderful. That much I can say. I'm sure people would have some questions to ask you. Loved it. Straight from the heart, sweet, short, and really encapsulates what you have gone through in a short span of time. And thank you, Sunilji, for bringing in Sandhya. And I think her doctorate, post-doctorate is just an excuse. I think she came to US just to meet Swamiji and to get started on this track. Right. So wonderful. Yes, Sri Rame, you had a question?
Radhe Radhe, I'll take over now. Sandhya is busy with her question answer. So Radhe Radhe, as Swamiji and Maharajji has graced Sandhya ji to be at US, so I hope one day it happens with me also. Radhe Radhe. So Sandhya ji is all yours. So let's start. We have Shiramya ji. Shiramya ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
It was an amazing presentation and journey with Sandhya ji, and to be very honest, Nitin ji suggested me the 21-day mind management also, and I'm still in day 3 from maybe 6 months. I don't know why I'm not been able to follow those suggestions and not been able to progress, but it was like very amazing and very inspirational. You have really set that standard for me to follow, and thank you so much.
Yeah, please do. It's like an orientation, you can start off with just to get warm up to Swamiji, so that by the time you actually meet him, you understand, who he is, and reap the true benefit out of that interaction, like Sandhya did. So perfect, Sandhya. Anybody can derive inspiration from the way you have progressed, I'm telling you. By the way, she started in February this year only, although she seems like a veteran, right? But only February.
Yeah, I see her always. I see her on most of the events. She's there hosting and helping and doing seva. I just bless her. She does the same always. And we have the man behind her, Sunilji. Sunilji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, Shyamji, Radhe Radhe, Nitin Bhai, Radhe Radhe, Sandhya.
Right.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. So, well, Sandhya ji, that was so sweet of you to say all those words. I mean, you're like my daughter to me. I'm always have really had just looked upon you as my daughter, and I just did what I would do for any other kids out there, any other young kids. And you're truly motivational how you have. And like when Nitin Bhai, when I mentioned that you're young kids, I'm older than they are, and it's amazing to see how Nitin and Ajay Bhai and Madan Bhai and some of the younger generation, you guys have taken this beacon of our culture to the next level. And when I first met you, we sat there and we had that lunch, and your hesitancy was that, how am I going to do that? Because Gita has already started. I said, Sandhya, don't worry about it. You'll be just fine just to start. And you truly enjoyed Nitin Bhai's discourse, and I mean, it's really good. So I truly appreciate all your kind words, and I'm looking forward to continue fermenting and fostering this relationship that we have done together. So I'm happy for you, Sandhya. Thank you.
Very nice, Sunil Bhai. You made my day by calling me a youngster. Okay, so I'll take that.
Thank you so much, Sunil Bhai. As he has said that to join Nitin Bhai's classes, there is no starting point, because as we all know that he will take eternity to do the Gita, so Bhagavad Gita. So we can join him whenever we want to do that, because he is not going to end it very soon. That's for sure. He is just going to be on and on and on and on. Radhe Radhe, Nitin Bhai.
Pleasure is entirely mine, Shyam Bhai, for sure. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's like a wonderful energy-packed group that we have. And every evening I look forward to this. And like you said, we will keep on revisiting this. We'll hash it out to an extent that it starts becoming like a back of our palm, at least, the knowledge that we are trying to imbibe. Great. Let's see.
As Bhakti has no end to it, the same way there is no end to it. Radhe Radhe. Yeah, we have Padmaji. Yeah, Padmaji. Yeah, Padmaji.
You'll have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, you are. Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. I would take the privilege today to not say Sandhya ji, because Sakhi Bhav, more than a Sakhi Bhav. The first time I actually saw you, I was actually talking to Sunil Ji. It was like serious conversation with me. And then all of a sudden he's like, I gotta go, I gotta go. It's although I don't exist. I'm like, where is he going? Who is he need to meet? And then I come down, I see you and Sunil Ji and actually Nitin Ji, we were talking. So that was the first time I actually saw her. And then few instances I had an opportunity to meet you, but today I'm actually officially seeing all the slides that you have put together. As a mother, woman, teacher, I was looking at each of the slides and I'm saying, you know, here is my baby who has so much toys, so many toys that she wants to play with. But to keep that energy intact for any child, when you have so many toys to play, to have that kind of focus and ability to keep them aligned and in sync and to do what he needs to do or she needs to do, that is a blessing. That you're able to channel your energy and thought process, and wherever you are in the spiritual path, to be aligned to your thought process and be able to translate that on a piece of paper, that is a true blessing. So as a mother, you know, I'm just, you know, I mean, I'm nobody after Swamiji, but just from a like motherly instinct, you know, very loving. And Shafali, you know, these videos that you guys come up with, you know, creative and thoughtful and very motivating and very attractive. So that is a very beautiful thing. I wish you all the best, and all your ducks are completely very much, very nicely aligned, and you're completely graced by God and Guru. Thank you.
Thank you, Padmaji. Very rightly said. All the stars are perfectly aligned for you guys. And these guys are so amazing, self-motivated. They keep coming up with ideas and things, and they keep surprising me every day. Okay, this is what we want to do. I have to, you know, keep pace with their energy. That is the motivation level of Sandhya and her Sakhi, you know, Shefali and Rahul and this team. Basically, they are pretty awesome for sure. Yes, maybe a couple of more.
Ankurji, Radhe Radhe. We've got 2 more minutes to go.
Yeah.
Ankurji.
Radhe Radhe. Nitin ji, I would like to just say to you, you are wonderful. I started actually before joining this session, I had actually, you know, started reading Bhagavad Gita in the morning, you know, but I couldn't understand a lot of things. I would just read a page or two, maybe at times when I was a bit tensed, just go sit in my temple, you know, and just read few lines. And after a while, I don't know how, I just bumped into these sessions somewhere or the other. And the way you attracted me in terms of my curiosity, you know, it was amazing. I would, you know, generally I'm not a person who would take a lot of interest or maybe, you know, carry on with things. You know, my wife would ask me, I mean, you're daily, constantly you're attending these sessions. And I was like, yes, I like it. And at times, it's in the morning, which happens, these sessions. And automatically, initially it used to happen that I would be late at times. I mean, just because I was not in the habit of it. But the curiosity level, the sessions which I used to miss, in fact, if in case you would see my feedback, it would be a lot of times I would be asking if in case there could be sessions, I mean, the session which I had missed. And, you know, so it helps a lot. It helps a lot. And in terms of a lot of things, the depth which we come to know, it helps me a lot personally.
Thank you, Ankurji. That is a, you know, all glories to Maharajji and Swamiji for having made this esoteric or otherwise very difficult knowledge so palatable for us. And it's our fortune that we can contemplate it on a daily basis. So keep attending it, keep inspiring your friends as well. And I'm telling you, it will only get better with time. We are up to something very special, and this will continue for a long time, right? So by the time of it, the versions that we started off with and the versions that we will evolve into, we can see that difference. That much I can tell you. Thank you so much. Maybe one more hand real quick, and then we can.
Yeah, we can take
Shiji,
Radhe Radhe. Yeah.
Radhe Radhe Nitinji, Radhe Radhe Sandhya. I was very impressed by your presentation. And, you know, Nitinji, I totally feel that Sandhya ji is an old devotee of Maharaji,
Yep.
for sure. Because the knowledge what she has and it comes out so easily to her, that understanding like that coming is not a joke, because it takes years and years to get this understanding, and what it comes so easily to her, just like a piece of cake. So I'm amazed all the time by her presentations and the way she participate in the sessions. Always get very surprised. And today, her presentation really made me feel that she's very blessed and her sanskars are amazing. And God bless her. That's what I want to share.
Thank you, Shashiji. That was the icing on the cake you presented to Sandhya. So you made her day today. So yes, you can sing if you want. A couple of lines Sandhya wanted. We'll take 60 seconds from Ajay and Sunil Bhai. You wanted to sing, so it's your day. Go ahead and sing it, and then we'll wrap up the session. I'll see you next week. We have another session, so please stay back. And Sandhya, you can sing a few lines, and then we can hand it over to Sunil Bhai. Thank you, everybody, by the way.
Thank you everyone. And I'll just sing these 2 lines quickly. Nit seva magu shama sham teri, na bhukti nahi mukti magu re. That's it. Thank you.
Sadhana, Seva, and Bhajans also now. So keep it up, Sandhya. With that, we conclude today's session. Sorry, Asha ji and Kumar ji, you can take you. We have another session starting. I look forward to seeing you next week. And Radhe Radhe, all the very best. You can stay back.
Thank you
Over
all.
to you,
Radhe Radhe.
Sunil Bhai and Ajay, for you.
Divine.